All right. Welcome to Dynasty Savvy. Oh, full screen us here. And we are talking buys, sells, and guys just in general, we're panicking on, and I won't even limit it to, the panics maybe could be, it doesn't have to be limited to selling, and guys are worrying on it. It could be like you're worried you don't have them, or you're worried you don't have a soldier, which kind of, again, goes with the whole buying stuff. So, we'll try to merge that in. But who's your first person you're buying, Dan?
Yeah, before we went live, I watched a episode from the Fantasy Stock Exchange, and they're basically selling Stefan Diggs and buying Tank Dell. And so I thought that was kind of interesting. Obviously, we've been very high in Stefan Diggs. Hopefully, you guys out there saw our bold predictions episode. And in fact, in that episode, Blake, you predicted that Stefan Diggs would score 2 touchdowns in week 1, and
Yeah, that's right.
you hit a bullseye on that one. So that felt
Not
pretty good there.
not only to mention that, on top you had the I mean you basically you had the 1,000 yards, but you're like this might not even be that bold. But right now
Okay,
Jameson Williams is probably on pace for 2,000 plus yards. So
yeah, we
week
had some
one
good
victory
calls
lap.
week 1. Yeah. So we're definitely feeling good about that. But yeah, the guys at Fantasy Stock Exchange had some interesting points about Stefan Diggs. Basically, they were saying that Nico Collins and Tank Dell had like 94% of like the air yards, at least between like those 3 receivers. So basically, they were saying that Stefan Diggs was just running a lot of like short routes, and they also said he was, largely playing in the slot. So like they're saying that he's essentially like the Texan slot receiver.
Yeah.
So we got the 2 touchdowns. Of course, touchdowns can be a bit unpredictable.
Yeah.
So yeah, you don't love like Stefan Diggs final stat line in terms of the catches and yards. So he had 6 targets, caught all 6 of them for 33 yards and a touchdown. So yeah, I mean it's not like the perfect stat line that you would want to see in terms of like projecting that moving forward. So yeah, I kind of thought it was an interesting take, and it as much as I just want to like victory lap on Stefan Diggs because like we love the 2 touchdowns, it is making me rethink it a little bit.
Okay.
We're not stubborn on this channel. When we get new information, we're going to adjust the thing. So still thinking through this, but I wanted to get your take on that. But basically, they're thinking that like the top 2 receivers are Dell and Nico Collins, and they're going to be running like more of the downfield stuff with the big, offering the big play ability, and Diggs is just going to be like the underneath guy. So what do you think about that?
So I guess we could all take in the offseason what we want about that receiver room. I mean, that's exactly how I already like viewed them. You know what I mean? And the reason why like I was in on Stefan Diggs, we know how important touchdowns are, and we know how like unpredictable just like crazy big plays are, which is could be good and bad for these spiky players like a Tank Dell. But the thing I liked about Stefan Diggs is his floor is going to be extremely, working out of the slot and these low A dot stuff. His floor is going to be extremely high, but he's still going to have this extremely high ceiling. Again, working in the slot with such good competition around him, and seeing where like these red zone looks across the middle of the field. C.J. Stroud's an elite passer in that medium range. And Diggs had usage downfield as well. Yeah, he wasn't. I know he wasn't necessarily targeted on it, but he did run routes downfield. It wasn't like he was doing the Rashee Rice thing. He did. He did have deep stuff. But that's to be expected. I mean, we're not scared of Rashee Rice because he wasn't working downfield. I mean, that's my week 1 opinion on it. Again, I understand the sell thing because, hey, he's about as good as it gets for
right.
his...
Yeah. So I mean, if someone's going crazy over Diggs now, thinking like, oh, he's the number 1 in the offense, and if you can always sell him, whether it's redraft or and to be clear, like I would say, like the advice we're giving on this live stream is going to be like essentially general. So if we don't specify, it applies to both redraft and dynasty. But yeah, if we're only talking about one, we will specify that.
Yeah. Also, if you're watching, leave a question or opinion or anything you got in the chat, and then if you're watching this as a YouTube video, leave a comment, and we can get back to you.
Oh yeah, totally.
So just if you're confused about anything, just let us know. But yeah, for me, like certainly if there's like, dude, if there's a sell window on Diggs, my issue is like, is there even a sell window on Diggs? Like, I don't know. I mean, if someone's coming out to get him,
casual league where like Bob in accounting in your office league, so Diggs got 2 touchdowns. Oh, like I guess he is the main guy there, and like whatever. And he still could be. I definitely appreciate your point about the high floor. And to your point, you were talking a lot about Diggs playing in the slot, so that is exactly what you expected. So.
And just scoring touchdowns. Touchdowns are the most important thing. Like, really.
Yeah, I would imagine Diggs will have games with more than 33 receiving yards. So obviously, what he does week 1 isn't indicative of what he's going to do every week. Of course, he's not going to score 2 touchdowns every week.
He's not going to catch every pass, but he might get 4 targets, so he might get 12.
Yeah.
Like, again, it's.
Yeah, I think you got to feel pretty good if you own Stephon Diggs. I mean, you probably won week 1, and I don't think there's any reason to certainly panic on him or sell unless someone's offering you a boatload.
Yeah, he might not necessarily be a buy. I guess is kind of the important take right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Because of his kind of like top percentile outcome with the 2 touchdowns and catching every pass. Yeah. It's more just wait until some inefficiency comes. He regresses a little bit with just his efficiency because that's bound to happen on such a 1 week at a time sample size, and then you can take advantage then if you want. But you want to be investing in the Texans offense regardless.
Yeah, exactly. And to that point, the player that I absolutely want to buy, whether we're talking dynasty or redraft, is Tank Dell. Because he's like the only one that really didn't go off amongst the trio of receivers there.
Yeah.
So, I really kind of believe in all 3 of them. I mean, I don't know if like all 3 can produce consistently throughout the season. Like maybe they'll each kind of have like their, hot streaks and whatever. But yeah, I kind of want any piece of the Texans offense. I think Tank Dell's an awesome receiver. So yeah, if I can buy low on him in just about any format, like I want to do that.
Yeah.
He has big playability. This offense could be scoring a ton of points, putting up a ton of yardage. So yeah, like give me some Tank Dell right now.
Yeah, 85% route participation. They took him off the field when they're running. Probably is a good thing for him, so he doesn't get a broken ankle again.
Who cares, right? Yeah, you don't score fantasy points for blocking.
Yeah, we don't want him breaking his ankle again blocking. So, again, so I know I've been like, my gut for Dynasty, I'll specify, was like, we know how reactionary people are, and like, you definitely have to pay a first still now for him. But in 2 weeks, kind of my theory is, I do want him really bad, but I feel like maybe it's 5 weeks, whatever it is, when people start to give up on him if he doesn't catch these bombs. Now the issue is he's probably gonna catch those bombs, so like you're playing a risky game. I guess my like advice, or even to myself, is price check him across leagues, the managers. Yeah. See if there's any window to realistically get him for whatever makes sense for your team, in a redraft as well. And if you can't, pray he duds out for a couple more weeks, and then go and hit him again. Just unless there's something really concerning, you can keep reevaluating. But he had, he had a deep shot bomb that he could have for a touchdown. Really good route participation, good air yards. So yeah, I would be interested in just keep my eye on him if you can't get him now.
I mean, I would say get a price check, make some offers, and if you aren't successful, they do play the Bears next week, and maybe the Texans offense struggle a little bit. I don't know. The Bears defense obviously looked great in week 1, but it was Will Levis and the Texans, although the Bears were getting hype in the off season, so it's probably pretty legitimate. But yeah, we'll see. So yeah, if he has a dud again, maybe his price is even lower next week. But definitely make sure you get it before week 3 when they play the Vikings and that secondary.
Yeah,
so you know all 3 are going off then.
Yeah, exactly. So for 500 yards.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, certainly like in Dynasty, like if there's any way you can get Dell without giving up a first, if you can give 2 seconds, if you can do a second and throw in like I'm trying to think of like what a good like sell high candidate is, but like I know Jordan Love got hurt, but like if you could like throw like Romeo Doubs in a second and like get Tank Dell, like I'd probably be very comfortable actually doing a trade like Dynasty. But yeah, see what you can make happen. I honestly I don't mind giving up like a late projected first to get Tank Dell right now in Dynasty. Yeah,
and then my only pushback to that has been like, I want to get him, but like I want to get him cheap, just
Yeah.
because like I can feel the panic coming in that wide receiver situation where people know that a guy may or may not be left out weekly or throughout most of the season, and they might, again, if they see it 2 or 3 times, they're gonna start to believe it. Is all. That's my only pushback to the buying now. But you're right. He's a very talented player. You want to get him, and he's gonna break out.
Yeah, and it's like, don't you wish you could buy some Rashee Rice right now? I mean, like, good luck, like, trying to do that in any league. And I could say the same thing about Jaden Reed after the monster game he had in Brazil. Of course, now with the Jordan Love injury, that kind of opens the window back up. But if it weren't for that, like, guys like Rashee Rice and Jaden Reed, like, good luck trying to buy those guys, like, anywhere otherwise. But on the other hand, like, Tank Dell didn't have a big week 1. So, like, here's your chance to get a really talented, explosive wide receiver on an awesome offense. Go and get him anywhere you can.
Yeah, and well, let's bring up Jaden Reed then. Yeah, this is a guy I was a little more worried about, but you've been on, traded for him also right before the season in the league we're in.
I got 2 off-season trades done for Jaden Reed in my amongst my 7 dynasty leagues, so feeling good about that.
So he blows up week 1, but then week 2 he's gonna have Malik Willis of all people throwing the ball, which is literally the worst quarterback you could ever imagine in an NFL roster. Like, I don't know if I can think. Maybe Nathan Peterman would be worse. I don't know. It's in Nathan Peterman range.
7 interceptions, Nathan Peterman. Yeah.
Yeah, we're in range. But the thing is, like, Malik Willis scrambles. So.
But that doesn't really help Jaden Reed too much, right? So.
No, exactly. So that's my point. Is like it's even worse. So.
Right. Exactly.
So you might actually be like one of the worst players you could ever have throwing you the ball. I guess the upside is Clifford, hopefully.
I wouldn't be surprised if he got benched for Clifford. But on the other hand, like, when's the last time we really seen Willis play in like a real NFL game? So like,
I can just picture him against the Chiefs. Oh my God, it was so ugly. It was hard to watch. But yeah.
Well, how long ago was that?
His rookie year. I don't know.
Okay, so he's in his 3rd year now. So I mean, yeah, you never know. So I mean, we'll see what he looks like. I think they'd be okay if they went to Clifford. So like maybe that's better for the Packers. Wide receivers probably is.
They're not startable right now, though. No. Like unless you're in the dumps.
Unless you're desperate or you just don't have better options, obviously. Like, but you're not going out of your way to start them.
Let me make a week 2 not even at all bold prediction. Jaden Reed finishes with less than 6.5 PPR. No, actually, he gets design stuff. I'll give him a little higher. He finishes with less than 8.5 points, so he still doesn't matter.
I would take that bet. Yeah.
Okay,
I agree with you.
And then this leads in the point where he's a buy though in Dynasty in this next coming weeks of before Jordan Love comes back. But again, I sometimes would like to push my luck because people will still be hanging on to like, oh, but look what happened when Jordan Love happened. So what I would like to challenge is an injured Jordan Love and variance and all that stuff playing in. I kind of like my odds to wait a week or 2 with Jordan Love back and just keep my eye on him. If you believe in him now, don't let those 2 games change your mind when Love's back and from the injury.
Yeah.
And then go hard to inquire.
So wait for a bad game or 2 with Jordan Love and then scoop him up then. Like, will probably be the most attainable and cheapest that'll ever be at that point. So, I think that's good advice.
We're all guilty of, like, being super reactionary or, like, unreasonable in certain situations. So if you feel that about Jaden Reed right now, keep that in mind, and again, redraft and like in redraft, he could be a really good buy for when Love's coming back healthy down the stretch, right? Like league winner potential. So.
Yeah, but I mean, if you got the Jaden Reed manager in your league, like sending you reasonable offers, and they want like a receiver from your team that can like help them contend now, and you're more of a rebuilder, like I mean, definitely be open to something now. So don't pass up on an opportunity because I mean, I think Reed is a great buy on a rebuilding dynasty team.
Yeah, exactly. And then again.
And like, I mean, you're gonna have to pay a first, but you obviously if you're rebuilding, you don't want to give your own first, but hopefully you've accumulated some other first, and you can just send some random or mid to late or whatever, and maybe you have to like throw in some kind of bench player or someone, but like, I think you could probably get something done for Reed, and certainly the next few weeks is a good chance to buy him.
Yeah, he'll become easier to acquire is all. So then let's take a look. Here's one that actually I'm going to name 3 guys here. And people are about to vomit. Maybe not for Amari Cooper, but I have Amari Cooper, David Njoku, and Jerry Jeudy. And what all the three of these guys have in common is not the fact that they just play for the Browns, but the fact that we're going Galaxy brain. They all have Jameis Winston as their backup quarterback. And the fantasy playoffs are played at the end of the season and not in week 1 and 2. So I'll throw out a couple stats here. The Browns.
Yeah, basically what you're saying is like, I mean, with how Watson looks and he's probably going to get injured, like we're thinking that Winston's going to be in there maybe even sooner than later, and hopefully does his best Joe Flacco impersonation.
And if there's anyone that was Joe Flacco before Joe Flacco in 2023, it was literally Jameis Winston his entire career.
Exactly. Just get in there, chuck it around, throw for 5,000 yards, 30 touchdowns, and 30 interceptions. And like that'll work for fantasy.
If you're just like, what is this guy talking about? Please go look up the Vikings versus Saints last year, or look at Chris Olave's stats throughout the game. He had 0 yards before Winston came in the game at the end of the third quarter, and he finished with like literally season high numbers in a quarter and a half or a quarter and a bit with Winston versus all his other games of the car. It was insane. So and A.T. Perry was like scoring. So anyways, my whole point is like,
isn't it amazing in fantasy how like just like sometimes a quarterback change, even if it's a guy that you don't even think of as being that good, all of a sudden like all the pass catchers and weapons just like come to life. Like we saw that with like, remember like the one game last year where like Brissett went in for Sam Howell, and then like all of a sudden like Terry McLaurin and Curtis Samuel were just like started like getting like red hot. Like it was just amazing.
Exactly. Like it's inevitable. Like Watson is not going to play all the games, and if he's out of there, like Jameis Winston is going to make these guys league winners. In fact, in tight ends, David Njoku, he was on pace for 15 targets. If you were using this as snap share, 10 plus targets, he was going to be a PPR monster when he's back. There's a buy low window now. Amari Cooper was the biggest disappointment in expected fantasy points. He was the biggest underproducer. Had a bomb that should have been completed. They had the highest neutral pass rate, like neutral script pass rate, and if they're going to be losing games while they still have Watson, they're going to be slinging the rock every play, and I don't even care if it's Watson how bad he is. Cooper's going to score.
Like the Browns are throwing the ball even when the game script is neutral. So like imagine like if they're down or whatever, the Browns would be passing the ball a ton.
If your worry is like Watson's going to be so bad that like he's not even going to be able to complete a single pass to Cooper, if it actually is like that bad, which is okay, it's not going to be that bad. Like they were playing the Cowboys defense a lot. Winston will be in. It all plays in. It's inevitable. So
exactly. Like that's the thing. Like I'm not even worried about Watson because I'm just already looking ahead to like like Winston's gonna be in there soon. Like you can just like book it.
So I want and then Jerry Jeudy's like again this other guy massively underproduced and he's basically the other guy that had nowhere near his expected fantasy points and he still scored a touchdown. He had 8 targets, was only converted for 3 catches. I'm not a big Jerry Jeudy fan, but we got to go with the Browns vibes here. These are league-winning vibes, and I want this clipped for the end of the season. I think 2, if not all 3 of these guys are like league winners down the stretch with Jameis Winston. If you have a chance to like draft best ball teams when the new underdog stuff comes out for like they give you like a second chance one like in season. You needed to be drafted the Browns pass catchers with Winston stacks.
I mean, certainly Cooper and Njoku have what it takes to be league winners. I mean, they
already
were in the last season, so we've seen them do it before. So I love that. And with Jerry Jeudy, it's all about the price. I mean, this is a guy that like nobody really wants, like in just about any league format. So like. And like Dynasty, I mean, like it's not going to be that hard. I mean, what do you got to do? Like throw like a third at him, maybe throwing like some kind of random bench player. Like it's not going to take much.
I'd actually argue like a stat line this week because he had the touchdown almost might make it easier to get him because I'm like, he scored a touchdown, man, 3 catches on 8 targets. Like maybe I can get rid of him now, and maybe someone wants to sell you Jeudy.
Right, they think that they're like selling high on him because he scored a touchdown or whatever, and let them think that,
Yeah, I mean, Jeudy's probably not going to be startable for you until Winston's in, but like, Yeah, I'm willing to pay a third to wait for Winston to come in and light it up.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, it's also not like a terrible bet. Like even if you're like a rebuilder, just if you think he's going to gain value, because then once he does, you can sell him at that point and probably get like more than like what you paid for him. So yeah, it's just like
so cheap. Yeah.
that or yeah.
So who else do you got here?
Yeah, I want to talk about Jameson Williams because obviously, like for the most part, like we're focusing on, we're buying players that we believe in that didn't have a good week one, and we're selling players that we don't believe in that did have a good week one. But yeah, Jameson Williams is definitely someone that I was high on at least late in the offseason. I kind of came around on him. I was hearing all those great like off-season reports, and of course on our bold predictions episode, I predicted that he would have 1,000 total yards, meaning combined receiving and rushing. And it looks like we're definitely off to a great start after week one. I mean, he looked awesome, really passed the eye test, just had an awesome game.
Yeah.
Put a great move on that defensive back on the long touchdown. I mean, he just looks like a guy you want to own in just about any format. So the question is this an example of a player that maybe you want to consider buying on the way up? Because I'm sure there are some JMO owners out there that like probably kind of thought they were like just stuck with them, and then they're seeing this big week one kind of maybe for them out of nowhere, and they're thinking like, ooh, like here's my chance to get off the get out of the Jameson Williams business, and they may think that they're making out like a bandit if they can, get a second or a second plus for him right now. But I think this is a guy you really want to own. I mean, like, I think you're excited about owning him in redraft. I think he's going to be a great flex play this year, probably at the minimum. I mean, certainly if you're starting 3 receivers and like, multiple flex spots, like, I mean, I think this is a guy you can just like stick in your lineup. And of course there's going to be some volatility. I mean, like, we expect St. Brown and Laporta to be studs this year and to be like the top 2 dogs in terms of targets and stuff. But the Lions are usually going to play better on offense most weeks compared to what we saw week one. Just kind of had an off game. So I think there's a lot to go around. And Jameson Williams, I mean, yeah, I'll take like the third target on one of the best offenses in the NFL, especially a guy that's just like looks like he's just coming into his prime, just looked awesome. I just want to own some Jameson Williams. So like, yeah, I'll take him in redraft, and he's young. So it's like, why wouldn't I want this guy in Dynasty as well? So yeah, I'm definitely I'm not going to just assume that he's unattainable now. I'm going to see like, okay, what would it cost to get Jameson Williams on my team?
Yeah, I'm right with you on that. You just basically took the words out of my mouth. So yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah. So I mean, realistically though, just for fun, for Dynasty, like what would you be willing to like give up? And I know like you've been kind of a Jameson Williams skeptic, and for good reason. I mean, like I definitely don't blame people too much for some of the skepticism on him, but like what kind of offer would you send out just to kind of like test the waters?
I'd toss again. We have Jaleel in one league, and we're trying to, like we like him, but he's the perfect like trade candidate. So,
he's a running back. And,
people
offense.
People always need running backs, whatever. So someone might want him. I would throw the second plus Jaleel in.
Yeah, I like that.
Like that just feels like the perfect, and like I could totally see someone taking that. Like I don't think that's unrealistic at all. I mean,
I don't think that's too crazy. I mean, yeah, like
if they're any bit skeptical, Jaleel's a hot name. I think they can take that. And again, if you need to like throw like some weird like late third and like just get it done if you want.
Yeah, exactly. If you have to throw in some junk or some late pick, like get the deal done.
Get it done.
But yeah, I don't think that's too crazy. I think. Sure. You could definitely get a deal done like that. Now, if you have like the JMO truther in your league,
go to a different league.
Not selling them for less than 2 first. Okay, forget it. It's not the league you're going to buy.
This is why you hopefully play in like more than one league, and you can just test your owners.
Yeah, have a little portfolio. Definitely a fun thing. So, I think that covers JMO. But yeah, I think for the most part, I don't know. I mean, in terms of players like I'm buying, like I would say like. One category is like these rookies that just did like nothing week one, but obviously like we believe in. I mean, like obviously like for most rookies, like you're not expecting them to do anything week one. I mean, in a lot of cases, you're not even expecting some of these guys to play. So it's like obviously there's no reason to panic, but other people, I mean, like it's amazing how much things can change for certain managers once you get into the season. And
Yeah.
that rookie that you so believed in, he played like no snaps, or just didn't even get a touch in the game. It's like,
Yeah.
take advantage of that and like go and buy, like, for most of the guys that were drafted in like your dynasty rookie draft, if you believe in them then, like, there's really no reason why you shouldn't believe in them now.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw on Twitter, Corum was the most dropped player on ESPN.
I couldn't believe that.
What
Like,
I will say about
what are
this,
people
though,
doing?
what I
Like,
will
come
say
on.
about this is why, though. This is why. It has nothing to do with, like, your, like, 12 or 4, like, your real leagues. Like, ESPN, the reason that he's getting dropped so much is because they said, someone from ESPN said 90% of ESPN leagues are 8 to 10 man, and most of them being 8 man. So the reason why is because, like, he was being drafted in those formats, and then, I think we could just, like, come down, okay, they probably have, like, shallow benches, and they just cut Quorum for a guy that went off, like Likely or Mason. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's why, but yeah, I mean, people are definitely dropping Quorum, and they shouldn't be. Still.
Yeah, I certainly hope people aren't dropping him in Dynasty. I hope that's mostly
okay, no, yeah, that's redraft, yeah. I mean, people are probably trying to sell him potentially in Dynasty. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of hard to believe.
I mean, what a huge buy in Dynasty right now to get Blake Corum. I mean, like, okay, yeah, like you were hoping to get a few touches and maybe make some noise, but like, okay, so what? Like, it's week 1. They had a big primetime game against the Lions. They're trying to win. They deferred to the veterans. So it's like, I'm really not that bothered by it. Like, I think Corum's going to get worked in there.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, he is a absolute, like, premium league-winning handcuff if anything ever happens to Kyren. And Kyren has an injury history. So, like, give me some Blake Corum anywhere in Dynasty I can get him. And if I'm in a redraft league, if my bench is big enough, like, if I can afford to spend the roster spots stashing Corum, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, I'm already working on the assumption, the core managers aren't worrying unless they're making it known. But you just never know, especially, like, moving forward, again, similar to, like, these other players I've been mentioning. You can keep an eye, because it might be week 5, and he's never hit over more than, like, 30% snaps or whatever it is, done really nothing. And then it's like, okay, still nothing has changed. It should ever change in our minds. Like, let's go get him now. And, like, that might actually be the turning point when people are really willing to sell them in both formats. So, or pick them up and waiver wire and redraft. Yeah, so.
Yeah, and then other players I'm buying in pretty much every format are proven studs that just had a bad week 1. So, I mean, there are like a million examples of this. I mean, week 1 was kind of weird.
Yeah.
There wasn't a ton of scoring.
It was just.
I think it was just about like a record low passing touchdowns, at least like in recent years, I believe. Depends on. I can't remember how many. There weren't a ton of passing touchdowns.
There was 34, and like basically, like, if you average them out, it's like 60 touchdowns like normally thrown. So it's like half.
So if you can buy like any proven stud that you believe in, but they had a bad week 1, like, just go snatch them up in any format. So, like, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta. What's even great about those guys is
every
that,
elite
like,
tight end.
yeah, exactly. But what's great about, like, Laporta and St. Brown is that, like, they disappointed on, like, the national stage of, like, the Sunday night game, and, like, probably a ton of fantasy managers watch that game and, like, I need this many points from St. Brown to win. I need this many points from Laporta to win. They watched the game. They were super disappointed. And now it's like there could be that emotional decision, like, I get this guy off my team,
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, maybe that's more realistic in, like, a redraft league, tougher to buy those guys in Dynasty. But, hey, take your shot. They might just be that much more attainable.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's the kind of thing where you don't get a discount, but, like, now, like,
they're willing to trade them.
Open to the idea and having a discussion.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes those untradeable players, they become tradable. Maybe not discounted, but it's really hard to get guys like that as is.
Yeah.
I have a couple of guys I want to bring up. I want to bring up 2 rookies on the Buccaneers. One, like, we weren't on in the offseason really at all, and one of them we were really on. Got a lot of them on Underdog. Unfortunately, I just couldn't find a way to get him in Dynasty because, the reward of the Jalen Wrights, and there was, like, the Burtons and the Snots that we liked above them. I know you had more of McMillan, as we were talking about. But, yeah, Jalen McMillan, I actually just traded Jordan Mason for him in a dynasty league where again I have like 50% Jordan Mason and like across all leagues.
So you're good. Yeah.
So I was like, perfect. I'll just take my Joe McMillan share. But yeah, I mean he had basically three chances on his 3 targets for touchdowns. They're PIs. So actually I think he had probably more than 3 targets. They're probably wiped because of the PI. I've never really thought about that. He converted only 1 catch though for 3 targets. It was for a touchdown. The other ones, yeah, pass interfered. So anyways, he completely underperformed in his like probably expected fantasy points. He's a baller, and Baker has just shown he can light it up without Canales. It was a terrible defense, but yeah, he's also like got his handcuff potential where if Chris Godwin goes down, he's working in the slot, he's working everywhere. So really interested in getting Joe McMillan, and in a redraft especially. He's on so many waiver wires, even ones where I'm in 12-man, and like I had him in most of them, but there was one that he was just dropped in for some reason. So I'm gonna go get him in that one too.
Oh yeah, I mean he could have had a monster game, and even as it was, he still had a 35-yard touchdown, and
still 10
obviously,
points.
so yeah, if you can scoop him up in Dynasty, kind of like, I mean obviously the manager's gonna know like has a 35-yard touchdown week 1, and so like it's not like you're gonna necessarily gonna buy him low, but like maybe because he didn't have the game that he could have easily had, like you can kind of like buy him on the way up. Whereas, like, if he had, like, 2 or 3 touchdowns, like, forget about it. Like, it's going to get him at a reasonable price.
Dude, yeah. Like, think if he just got that second one, 2 touchdowns from a rookie.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no buying. Now, I'll say a guy that is, like, for some reason unbuyable right now, and maybe just because, like, the owners that drafted him after the Combine and in Bucky Irving, after disappointing, maybe they really did believe in him. So that's maybe a thing across leagues where the owner tends to have really liked him, and then he goes...
Especially in Dynasty, right?
Yeah, I'm specifically talking, Dynasty for this take here, but like redraft too, pick him up. Basically, that's all I gotta say. Pick him up. Yeah. And yeah, Bucky Irving, I've been trying to get him to throw in some deals, and they're like, no way, Jose, it's not happening.
So I know Bucky put up a good stat line. Did he actually outproduce like Rachaad White or?
He basically, I mean, off like actual points.
Yeah, I could look it up.
I think Rachaad White scored a touchdown, so that would be the difference. But Bucky was like, whatever he was. Was he at 8 yards per carry or 6+? Like,
it was good.
Every carry was like 6 yard plus gain though, regardless.
I pulled up Rachaad White went 15 carries for 31 yards. So obviously terrible efficiency there.
Yeah.
Oh wow, but Rachaad White did have caught all 6 of his targets for 75 receiving yards. So that's where he made his hay in PPR leagues.
So he actually had 100 yards after the catch. So I mean, I guess I think all of them were just like behind the line of scrimmage by like 5 yards, or I don't even know how that makes sense. I did see that. So anyways, Rachaad White's like easily got to be like one of the biggest sell candidates in both formats though, because he didn't disappoint. He already was in Dynasty, I think, for like 99% of people at least.
Yeah,
it seemed like it. No one wanted to touch Rachaad White. He's been the most inefficient running back. Blah blah blah. We know that, and what do you know? There's an efficient running back all of a sudden with a very small sample size that people, he was good in college. Like I'll give him that. He was good in college. We weren't really on him, but I'm willing to buy in.
I didn't think he was a great prospect. He just seemed like more of a college running back. Didn't really seem to have like. I mean, I don't know. I guess Kyren proved like you don't have to be like blazing fast if you have like really good instincts or whatever. But like, I don't know. The problem with Bucky is like he's small. He's not really explosive in terms of like NFL, by NFL standards. So it's like, but I mean, gosh, you have to be encouraged by at least like the box score. I mean, 9 carries for 62 yards, where so averaging almost 7 yards a carry. Where in the same game, Rachaad White goes for 2 yards a carry, and he was inefficient last year. So like, it's just weird. Like we weren't sure that with the Bucs offensive line, we didn't know if running back could be efficient in that offense. But lo and behold, week 1, Bucky Irving comes out, averages 7 yards a pop. He also catches
10 carries,
14 yards. So it's like, God, you kind of got to be pretty encouraged by that.
Yeah, I mean, pre-combine for me, I was like, oh, whatever, 3rd round pick might be interesting. Then I just completely wrote him off. But like after seeing this, like, we already know Rachaad White, like. especially if you're already off Rashad White. Like I just don't know why you wouldn't be interested in trying to get pick him up in every league. He probably already is if you're playing in like 12-man leagues and stuff. But certainly worth trying to just keep your eye on because. I mean, like, how long is it until he just, like, takes over? Or just completely, like, diminishes everything from White? Like, I can see him, he could, again, I'm not saying he's Kyron Williams, but, like, eerily similar stuff. Obviously not as good of an offense. Don't make that mistake twice, is all.
Yeah, I think he's a little smaller than Kyron, so I think that was the thing. Yeah. Like he's small and he's not like super fast in terms of like long end speed. So, but I mean, hey, you like what you saw so far? I mean, both him and White were productive. I mean, the Bucks had just like a massive offensive day. I mean, what are you thinking? Like, are you buying the Buccaneers' offense in general, and what are you doing with Baker Mayfield, particularly in Dynasty?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any Baker, but I you really can't do anything. If you don't own him, you gotta wait till he cools off. If you were really convinced by that, him laying up one of the worst secondaries, but I mean, he's got great weapons. So
yeah, but I mean, are you selling Baker? I mean, what do you think you get for him in Dynasty? Are you putting him on in the block, or what are you doing?
I mean, if I had him, I mean, this is one what we talked about. If you didn't need him, you were contending. You should go try and figure out how to flip them for Jordan Love.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't know. I mean, yeah, it was a spike week, right? So
yeah,
I don't think anyone's overreacting.
Are you buying that he could be like kind of like the next Jared Goff, like a guy that was like, kind of cast aside, and okay, people don't think he's that good, and then he goes to another team, and obviously like last year he had like kind of his breakout season with the Bucks, but a lot of that was credited to Dave Canales, and now Canales is gone. I mean, I was actually trying to trade Baker Mayfield in one of our dynasty leagues, Blood, Sweat, and Beers. And ultimately, the trade didn't go through because, like, the guy kind of got cold feet. And he's like, the Canales factor, like that literally stopped a trade for me trading away. So kind of worked out because I'm kind of happy to have him now. His value has gone up. Yeah. But I just think it's interesting now that week one, first game without Canales, he just explodes like that. So, yeah, I mean, of course, he's not going to do that every week, but it kind of feels to me like it's probably more legitimate than not, just in terms of being like. I mean, I don't know if I don't know if he's going to finish as like a top 12 quarterback, but I mean, I think it's possible, and I don't think he's going to be too far off if he finishes outside of that.
I think that's completely. I mean, again, we know that basically, if you're a pocket passer, as long as you run hot and touchdowns, you're a top 12 quarterback, or maybe.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm thinking about leagues with 6 points per passing touchdown. Yeah, exactly. I don't play in any dynasty leagues that are only 4 points per passing touchdown. So just to be clear on that, but yeah, if I'm a rebuilder. Yeah, I definitely want to flip him for Jordan Love, and that's a great thing to do. If you're a rebuilder, like look to trade for any injured stud right now, and just trade away a player that might not have as much long-term value, but is producing right now. Find a contender who has like an injured stud that's going to be better long-term, and make the swap.
Okay, let me bring up one now, because I've seen some people selling him. I mean. I might have my own bias because, this is a guy that we were both on last year, and obviously it's Puka Nacua. But people are like just dumping him off for peanuts now. Like, we saw that basically, people are trading him. Just I've seen because he's injured. He's on IR. They're trading for a productive receiver that's nowhere near the ceiling of dynasty value, whoever it might be. Maybe if you got one of those websites that those people use, like where Puka's been traded, that could give you a good idea of like what.
Yeah, but you said that Scott Connor made a trade.
Scott Connor made one for Rashee Rice, right?
Yeah, and so basically he had to give Puka in a second for Rashee Rice in a third in Dynasty.
Yeah, like it was like a future third, but like basically, let's just say move that even late 26th third, whatever it was. Like it's a Puka in a second for Rashee Rice. I mean. The thing is, like, I really like Rice, but you're basically paying a second for those whatever 4 weeks that he's gone. So I mean, whatever you want to say, but Puka again, he's guy played 15 snaps and had 4 targets for 4 catches for whatever he had 30 plus. I mean,
yards. He could have had the game that Cooper Kupp had for all we know.
Literally, so I mean that's like my issue in Dynasty. Like this is the Dynasty take is. If you owned this guy, if you did not trade him in the offseason, or you trade for him, whatever. Why are you selling him? Like, I get it if he's like completely injury riddled the entire season, like that might frustrate you. You want to get him, but like he just went out and just demanded what is that like a 30-something% target share on his routes, or yeah, whatever. It's just I don't know. It kind of baffles me. I can understand it like if you are desperate, but then it's like if you're desperate for receiver, like are you really a contender anyways?
Yeah.
So I'd be actually interested in buying Puka right now in Dynasty.
Oh, heck yeah. I was just about to say, like, sounds like he's probably like the biggest buy of all in Dynasty
Exactly,
right
yeah.
now. It's a Puka Nacua. I mean, especially if you're a rebuilder, but I don't know. I mean, even on a contender, if you have just like so much depth that like you could have afford to like somehow like package like a few pieces and just like turn it into Puka Nacua,
Yeah.
and then save it for your playoff run and just future years of owning him, like
Yeah.
absolutely get Puka.
Because people, again, like we just saw Cup go nuts, so like people are gonna be double counting stuff as is. What was it? 21 targets for Cup. He's already looking like a league winner.
Yeah.
Probably like what is he like the 101 right now? And if we redrafted today, like
Okay.
probably is right.
Wow.
Well, why wouldn't he be? He just had 21 targets and
Well, I know, but I mean,
32.
Puka's out. I mean, he's only going to guarantee.
People don't care. People are just like that's what I mean. Like people don't
Wow.
care about this stuff. Like people just.
Wow. All right. I mean, I know you want to start out in redraft. Like the worst thing is to start like 1 and 4.
Look at the receivers around him in redraft. Are you drafting Amon-Ra, Chase, Jefferson over them? Like people are so reactionary like that. Like people, I
mean,
guarantee
like,
you, Cup would go 101 right now, maybe behind CD.
I mean, he might, but like, I mean, it's tough. Yeah.
Oh,
if I
sorry,
was
Hill.
I mean, like
Top 3.
It would probably be smart to still take St. Brown over Cup and redraft. I mean, I can understand the argument to say Cup, but like
They're not going to though. He's gonna be top 3. Sorry, Hill and CD would probably remain. See, here's the thing.
Or maybe Saquon Barkley is probably way up there with the big
Oh
week
yeah,
one.
Saquon. Yeah, exactly. So Saquon's another guy that would shoot up there, but whatever. Top 5 pick, and again, it's like a 1 week sample size, but and Puka got hurt, but like. I mean, this is the reality of like the rankings and how people draft,
But also, I mean, Cup's older. I mean, he could easily get hurt. He could kind of hit
Exactly,
the veteran wall later. Like, I mean, Puka could come back, and all of a sudden, Cup is second fiddle. I mean, I think they'll both be productive, but I'm just saying, like, there are really negative things.
And I'm not even saying, like, I think if there's a chance, like, for some reason, some guy owns Cup and he's like not competing. Who knows? I don't think that would be happening in Dynasty.
Yeah.
But like, I would be willing to overpay for Cup right
Sure.
now.
Okay.
You just have to be careful and be smart about it, because even with Puka on the field, like he already had like 6 targets. Like the first drive, it felt like it was just, those 2 guys catch every pass. So, yeah, just really good pass over expected rate for that team always. Yeah, like. Go get both Rams receivers, but yeah, Cup's gonna be like impossible to get regardless.
Yeah,
right now,
and also, especially in Dynasty, but even in redraft, if you have a deep bench, get Jordan Whittington. I mean, there's so many similarities to Puka. I know we didn't see a ton of him week 1, but he did score a touchdown. It was called back. I really feel like he could emerge in these next few weeks with Puka gone. So yeah, like get Jordan Whittington anywhere you can in Dynasty. And again, if you have a deep bench and redraft, if you can squeeze him on there, I think he's worth taking a flyer on.
Yeah, absolutely. Like that's a guy that you've been on, Dad, and we got heavy exposure to him.
Oh yeah, we got our Jordan Whittington backpack.
Yeah, it's probably not the week 2 play, but this is like the league winning kind of stretch thing. And if Puka, like, again, it still can happen. Like he re-aggravates something, whatever.
Oh, absolutely.
Then like that's true league winner potential for Whittington.
Yeah, absolutely. And then another thing we should definitely talk about is the Dolphins' backfield. We've been talking a lot about it just over the phone over the past few days. We're both really interested in getting like all the shares we can of Devon Achane and Jalen Wright. We're just like so excited about both of these players in every format, Dynasty, redraft. Like, just give me all the shares of those guys. So, yeah, what are your thoughts? Because, of course, Achane and Mostert both get banged up in week 1.
I mean.
Mostert has already been ruled out for week 2. He's an older player. Achane is questionable. They play the early Thursday game, so we'll see if he's able to go or not. But it doesn't sound like it's too much of a long-term concern. So, yeah, how are you feeling about this Dolphins backfield? We also got Jeff Wilson hanging out there. He's there with the sniper.
Like in the back of the head, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
No, yeah, like, I mean, my God, like, could we draw week 1 any better? We were like all offseason, everyone's saying, but especially us, like, I mean, why would Jalen Wright not be one most rostered guy in every format? Because whatever, within reason, if unless we were playing with each other, we can't get we both can't.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's like the one. If we're in a league with each other, we know there's no way to get Jalen Wright off the other.
I don't think I own a Wright in a league that you're in because you own Wright, and like just the way that things played out, you got to draft him over me, or I drafted a different guy, like earlier because we were pushing him up the board. But anyways, we were saying these are the most injured running backs or whatever, most likely injured running backs, and they're both on the same team.
And it's like the best possible situation. Like you want Dolphins running backs, just like so
exactly.
conducive.
So it's like, and he was just like a great prospect playing against late boxes. Oh, yeah. He's gonna play against late boxes in the NFL.
He's fast. He's big. He was good in college. Like there's just like what's not to like about this? Like
there's
like onto a better team.
Yeah, there's like nothing not to like, and then you go on top of that, and what happens week 1? Not only did one, because he's a handcuff for both. Not only did one guy get hurt, but both of them are back.
I know, right? I mean, we could not have been more right about that, like right out of the gate. So it's like, I'm really glad we got all the Jalen Wright we could. Even got him in like my home redraft league, so feeling good.
So Dynasty, it just feels like buy this dude no matter what. Like see what it takes. The only issue is like it's just like too late.
I mean, like it's gonna be tough, but like if you can somehow buy him the way up. I mean, like, I really think, like, a year from now, like, Jalen Wright could be worth a rookie first-round pick. So it's like, you can pay anything less than that right now, absolutely do it.
Yeah, like, if you can somehow try not to send 2 seconds, like, you can do the second plus something that you want to get rid of, or the guy might take, again,
Jaleel McLaughlin. Come on, just say it.
A second of McLaughlin. Oh, my God, like, try to get Jalen Wright. So I actually just traded the other... So I started with the second in all my leagues. I didn't own Wright in already.
Yep.
I got a counter back for 2 seconds for Wright, and I counter back. No, and then something happened. Maybe he wanted Estime. He basically a second in Estime, and I actually managed to get Wright.
Yeah, so I thought that was a phenomenal trade.
So now I got one extra Wright. I mean, got him in a bunch of redraft stuff. Very pumped. So, but anyways, what are we doing with these guys? Buy Wright. Buy A-Chain no matter what. If he's tradable now, I don't care. Buy him.
Because I mean, if A-Chain being banged up and having that questionable tag next to him on ESPN or whatever site you're playing on, if that or even in Dynasty, like if just the injury kind of scares managers a little bit and just opens up that window to buy him, like absolutely do it.
All right, here's another like clip potential moment here, and like I don't even like think this is like a bold take at all, but like. After week 1, if he plays all 17 games, and even if he like leaves a couple, like banged out, whatever, like he's literally without a doubt the RB1, like overall. There's just no doubt. Yeah, it changed the RB1 overall. So that's what I have to say about A-Chain. Go buy him.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's somewhat bold. I mean, obviously, like, people are excited about Breece and Bijan. Both of them had solid week 1s. So, yeah, I mean, people don't think of A-Chain as a workhorse, but he doesn't really need to be. He's going to catch a ton of passes, it seems like. I mean, it seems like there maybe was some credence to some of those offseason reports about just, like, them kind of using him in the slot or just at wide receiver a little bit. I mean, I actually don't know how much they actually did that, but I mean, he caught like 6 passes.
Dude, he had a lot of wide receiver usage. Like,
okay.
Yeah. And it was the screens and all that stuff. So just like design touches, stuff you want to see from his superstar.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's just an exciting player. I mean, he's just so explosive and just can take one to the house so easily. And just you couldn't ask for a better situation than that Dolphins offense.
It's like impossible to like overpay for A-Chain. It feels like, although you still want to like try to get him within like reason of what his price is all.
Yeah. So I mean, what are you sending out? Are you offering like 2 firsts, or are you trying to like down tier from like a Breece Hall maybe get a first on top?
Yeah, that's the one we're trying to do. Trying to get a response.
And the league co-manage.
Yeah, our co-managed league, a guy, it's hard to get a hold of him, but we are trying to get a first on top of A-Chain, which would feel like robbery to get Breece. As much as I love Breece,
to send out Breece,
yeah, and then again we're willing to like that's just kind of the starting offer, and then get flexible from there.
So if we have to like throw something in like a Jaleel or like a future third or some junk or whatever, we're certainly willing to do that. But get A-Chain if you can do it reasonably.
Yeah, absolutely, and get right. So yeah,
Yeah.
what else have we got? Any other?
I mean, like, what about like we were kind of talking about doing a little like dumpster diving earlier with like Jerry Judy. How about like a Bryce Young? I mean, his value will probably never be lower. The Panthers were an absolute train wreck. I guess we could talk about
Yeah.
Deontay Johnson as well, but like,
Yeah,
are you bringing up some Panthers and like, are you willing to like?
I'm
I
buying
mean,
an antidote.
You could probably get Bryce Young for less than the first. So like, are you
You
taking
definitely
advantage
can.
of the opportunity?
Honestly, no, I'm not. I'm buying the red rifle. I'm picking
Oh yeah,
up the red
Andy
rifle
Dalton. Oh
ever.
yeah. Oh,
Honestly,
definitely we should mention pick up Mason Rudolph,
yeah,
Andy Dalton, Jameis Winston.
that's
Those
right.
are like the primo
Yeah, super
quarterback
flex.
handcuffs that might be on waivers in your
Dynasty.
dynasty league. So
Yeah,
like, I mean, after how Will Levis looked, and yeah, I mean Bryce Young. I mean, I wouldn't put it past him to get bent, but I also see the upside if he starts playing better, and you know the Canales coaching comes in. And then we talked about the Brown situation with Watson. Like, we don't think
yeah,
he's going to be starting for long. So, yeah,
yeah.
grab those handcuffs anywhere you can.
Premium. Actually, Michael Penix. You could apply
Yeah.
this like maybe redraft super flex, but
Okay.
Michael Penix, yeah, just I will say like we've seen the Kirk Cousins like immobility there, and like just go buy Michael Penix. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, for
What,
sure.
what were we saying here? Dumpster diving. Okay, here's my
Oh, yeah,
argument.
so like Bryce Young. Like, if, yeah,
Okay.
I'm sure you can get him for less than a first. So, are you going to do that?
No, I'm not actually.
Okay.
Okay, here's my argument for like the Bo Nix types right now is
Yeah.
these guys do retain their value of like their late first. Like Kenny Pickett did it. Like everyone in history has done it, except for Bryce Young. So yeah, he already is like, you know, I mean, he's still you could kind of like maybe sneak out a first for him, but like he's the biggest dropper. Zach Wilson still retain his value after a year. The issue is when you get in the second season, like that's your window. You can hit reset before the second season starts. Once you get in
Yeah.
the second season, and you get W'd 47-7 or 10, whatever the score was. When you look that bad and the offense looks that bad, the team like they just lost their best defensive player probably, and Derek Brown. Like, it's just like it's a disaster. The organization as a whole is a disaster from the owner. I just like why would I pay anything for that? Like if you can get him for like a second, sure, but like he has no value insulation now. Like he's already short. There's so much not to like about him for everyone else. Unless you're like the biggest Bryce Young fan, after again, I know it's an overreaction to week one, but like there's no way I'm buying him. I'll let someone else buy him, and or I'll wait till they keep getting flooded and he disappoints. And at that point, if for some reason I find a way to believe in him and can get him for, you know, just some completely reasonable price that feels good to get a first overall quarterback at, then I'm in. Well, what do you think, Dan?
I mean, I think it's in the range of outcomes, and you know, I'm sure you'll acknowledge this as well. That like, at some point in the future, like, let's say for the sake of argument that like in most leagues you probably can't get a future first for Bryce Young right now, but it's in the range of outcomes that at some point this season you will be able to because he will have started playing better. So like, I'm willing to kind of buy the dip and take a chance there if the price is cheap enough. If I can, yeah, I can do like the classic trade of like a Jaleel in a second. Like I'm willing to do that.
Which is reasonable. And
Yeah.
my thing is like you're saying, you know, oh maybe you can get him now for not a first, but like you already could do that. So I mean, I hope you could do
Well,
that.
not always, but like I don't know. I mean,
Well,
it's definitely tough
I
right
don't
now.
know,
To
if
get
you're in 10-point passing touchdowns, maybe, but you know, so okay. Here's
what
my
about-
thing. Okay,
Yeah.
wait. Is he at his lowest right now? No, he's not at his lowest right now. He'll be
yeah, it could get lower.
exactly. He can get lower, and the thing
But I'm
is,
saying like we don't know when it's going to turn around. So that's my point. It's like it's low enough now. I'm willing to explore it.
okay, you're willing to explore it, yes, but I would not recommend him as a buy because I think it will continue to get worse. And, like, again, it could kind of go into, like, the factor where, like, the Jerry Judy, where, oh, he scored a touchdown this week, or, you know, maybe he had something. Maybe that's the time where you can be like, okay, now I'm like, hey, I saw something. Maybe this is the perfect time to try and buy him in case the rise happens, you know, for your second or whatever. But the thing is like, the owner might be like, oh, perfect, it's time to sell. Like, you might think because he put up a half-decent game, or maybe in real life kind of game, that now the owner's like, no, the price is going up. But they probably just want to get him off the roster. So that's what I have to say about that.
But what about if you're a rebuilder, but you still got like DeAndre Swift and Calvin Ridley?
Okay,
kicking
go
around?
trade. Yeah, go trade DeAndre Swift for Bryce Young and and
Yeah.
Calvin Ridley together. Yeah,
you'll
sure.
you're throwing
Yeah, I'll
the pair
throw
for
those dudes.
Young.
Yeah, that's a good thing to bring up. Yeah, if you got absolute pieces of dust like those guys, just go trade them. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I won't call them complete pieces of dust, but if I'm a rebuilder, I want those guys off my roster. Get the points off my roster, and so if I can turn that into a guy that could be a future quarterback, has the pedigree, I'll take my chances there.
I know we were just talking recently, like, hey, what if Bryce Young's better, like, at least from an NFL standpoint, for, like, Deontay Johnson, and, hey, go buy Deontay Johnson in PPR leagues, but, like, don't overpay until we see something, too, but, like, go buy him. I don't know. That's kind of, like, it doesn't feel good to say buy him, but I'm going to stick by my week preseason.
I don't think we're ready to get off of that yet. I mean, it's one bad week. I don't think the Panthers' offense will get much worse. So I'm definitely willing to buy Deontay Johnson if I can get him at a nice value right now. I mean, if you need some receiver depth, you could just like throw a second, get Deontay Johnson. Like that sounds perfect.
Then just wait for the red rifle time. And
exactly.
Go stack them from the waiver wire.
I mean, dude, I know I was just saying, like, buy Bryce Young, but if you put Andy Dalton in that offense right now, with,
my God,
coaching factor and everything, like, sign me up. I'll buy all the Panthers.
That's like my issue with Bryce Young is like I'm so confident if Andy Dalton goes in there, he's lighting it up for like 300 yards a game. Like that's the issue.
I mean, probably is. Like honestly, close to.
The thing is like, there's no doubt in my mind. Like, people are starting him in super flex leagues or whatever if they're desperate, and then all of a sudden like Deontay Johnson's like a league winner, kind of like the ones.
Yeah, I mean, last year even without Canales in there,
and no Deontay,
Dalton started for one game, filled in for Bryce Young, and put up 300 yards and a touchdown, and it's like
just had Thielen,
And I mean, the Panthers did add some other weapons. I mean, they got like Xavier Legette and Jatavian Sanders.
The weapons, they're there.
Coming off of IR in a few weeks or whatever. So it's like, that could be kind of a fun offense if they can just kind of get it together. So I do think it's going to happen with Bryce Young. But certainly if Andy Dalton gets in there. But definitely own him as a handcuff. He's sitting on waivers in Dynasty.
I'll quit, hating on Bryce Young here, but I'm definitely on that train now. So
so we talked about a lot of like the rookies to buy, but just to give you a few examples, like some of these running backs like Ray Davis, Kamani Vidal, like I mean, if you can get a discount now on like guys like that, buy them up in Dynasty for sure. Is there anything else that you wanted to mention before
what about
we wrap things up?
Yeah, what about a couple panics? We didn't really go over too much about that, mostly buys, but panics we
did talk about Mark Andrews on an episode that we just recorded, and that should be coming out in the next day or two, so look out for that. But any other guys that we're panicking on? Like who are you concerned about if you own in Dynasty or redraft right now?
I'm trying to think about guys like that I actually own, and honestly, it was just such a bad week one. It's hard to give truthful panics.
Christian McCaffrey. How do you feel about owning Christian McCaffrey right now?
Dynasty or redraft?
Let's say redraft.
God, I don't own him in redraft because I don't even know if I picked in the top 7 in any of my leagues. Funny enough, but oh my goodness. Again, all depends on price if you wanted to get him, but if you don't have him, man, if you get like anything, if you can get like anything first round.
I probably wouldn't even consider trading for Christian McCaffrey unless I'm like at least like 1-0 right now. You know what I mean? Like if I'm 0-1, I'm not even thinking about it. Okay,
if you're in a shallow league, like you can go target McCaffrey probably. Try him just like dominate in playoffs, but I probably wouldn't trade for him in redraft unless you're getting like a severe discount. If you have him, try to get anything that is like reasonably in the top 2 rounds and some weird swap. Do whatever you gotta do to make it look, fancy. Just get a guy that's like, I mean, we just don't know. Like that was just such a weird situation, and man, I could have won so many leagues if I started Mason. Like the ones I won enough games.
I wish we knew that was going to happen. I mean, dude. I was in my home redraft league at the last minute to take out Brandon Ayuk and put in Jordan Mason, so that worked out pretty nicely. I mean, I won by a ton of points, so it didn't make that much of a difference, but it was still fun.
Like most of my dynasty matchups I had won. I could have won had I had CMC or even Kyle Juszczyk in my lineup against you, which was one of the biggest upsets ever in that league. Yeah. But hey, lesson learned: go start Kyle Juszczyk on your waiver wire if you ever get that ever happens again.
Yeah, I took down a couple of juggernaut teams this week. I mean, like if you told me I beaten either one of them,
God.
like I would have said you're nuts, and I somehow took down both of them. So it was your team in Grease Bowl, which looks a lot like Dinah's team in Blood, Sweat, and Beer. So it's basically like Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, like
Joe
just
Burrow,
on and down the lines, like all the studs. So I don't know how I took them down. And I should say that both of those teams I beat them with were rebuilding teams. So you just never know any given Sunday.
Oh, yeah. Literally, if you had seen these matchups, like literally any given Sunday, my team is literally comprised of all redraft first-round picks. Like literally. That's
Darren
what
Wilson,
it is.
Yeah, AR.
Yeah, seriously. Oh my God, it's what an upset.
Oh yeah, then you got like Breece Hall, Christian McCaffrey. I mean, it's insane.
But only God, it's like not the first round is like literally Pacheco. So it's in my tight end position, but yeah.
Yeah, I give most of the credit to Jaden Reed and Jaden Daniel. Yeah, I guess it was the Jadens. So they keep really big. All right, let's do kind of like a little lightning round here of just some guys that we should definitely cover before getting out of here.
Yeah.
We kind of covered this, but not specifically. Raheem Mostert. How are you feeling owning him in any format right now?
I mean, again, here's my thing. I'll say, it feels like he's gonna be dead if Jalen Wright season, whatever. But
I agree.
But price check for like the lowest of low ball offers in each format. Again, go against the grain. No one's buying Raheem Mostert right now.
Yeah, if you can get him for a song, like I'll take my chances. Like if Wright doesn't go in right away, if he kind of gets like Blake Corum'd this coming Thursday, and Jeff Wilson just kind of fills in, and then like Mostert's back the next week, well, then he could go right back to his role. So
that's exactly what I'm thinking. And if you're getting priced like he's already dead, worth a shot.
Grab him for free. Yeah, if he's free or close to it, grab him. Marvin Harrison, we got to touch on him real quickly. Are you panicked if you're a dynasty owner? And what about in redraft? I mean, if you took this guy in round 1 or 2, you're probably not feeling great, but maybe we should talk more dynasty because that's something that maybe you could still kind of, obviously, like, I don't think Harrison's value has changed much in dynasty other than the fact that he might be a little more attainable. Are you buying him in dynasty?
Yeah, I mean, if it made sense for you, go ahead and buy him after 1 week. What are we going to change over, 1 week? Although, you and I haven't been on in redraft, and in redraft.
Yeah, so we don't care about him in redraft. Yeah, we knew it was a bad decision to take him. So hopefully you guys listen to the channel here and didn't draft him in your home league. But in dynasty, are you probably only buying him if you're a rebuilder right now? And if so, what are you sending out for him?
No, you know what? You just gave me an idea. Maybe I should go to the Marv. I have a Neighbors share. Maybe I can go to the Marv owner and try to get Marv Plus for Neighbors after week 1.
I love that. Yeah. If you could even just get a second on top of that, wouldn't you smash that?
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, he'd be like my wide receiver 5, so it'd be awesome. But I'm gonna go do that after this and at least try it out. But yeah, I mean, dude,
we're not worried.
Just go by Marv. Yeah, just go by Marv. What's the worry about 1 week? When we were in week 8 and he's getting 100% snaps and this were to keep up at all, then you could start to question things. So
yeah. All right, real quick, Jamar Chase. How you feeling in owning him in dynasty right now?
I own him, so I'm trying to think. I don't know. I'm just ignoring everything. I'm blocking out the noise.
Okay. I think that's probably smart. Yeah. Just play the long game. We know he's a stud. Yeah. I think he'll eventually come through just fine.
Yeah.
And then just going through a few more names here that I put question marks. I know we got a lot of Jordan Addison, at least in best ball. He's not feeling great at the moment. Are you looking to get off if you can? But you probably can at a good price.
No, if you own him, just trust me. Just keep. Do not sell him right now. Do not sell him. No one wants him. And I don't want to even say he's a buy, but because he's hurt and attached to Sam Darnold, you should actually I should probably go low ball the Addison owners. The issue is I drafted Addison in every league, so I've traded to the Addison owner that in every league this offseason because I've just apparently sold Addison in every league. As much as I like him.
Even though you were buying him in every best ball league, so it's just the way it happened for whatever reason. Jalen Polk seems like a good buy right now. I'll just mention that real quick. But going to more questionable players here. What about... Yeah, I mean, Evan Ingram, I think we are concerned about him, right?
Yeah, a little bit on the usage, the snap share, the tight end drafted last year, just at least a tiny bit of a sign. Then 1 target. Again, it's just a 1-game sample. I'd be wary on him. A little bit of panic. Depends on your form. If you're not in like a big tight end premium, I'd be like, oh my god, like just dump him for like into any other tight end that also had a dud. I think you can get away with that. That's the perfect thing though. Like he had some concerning stuff, where like those other tight ends didn't have any concerning stuff about their usage, like Mark Andrews. So try to go flip them in any way possible.
Yeah, it feels like he might need an injury. It seems like there are a lot of mouths to feed in Jacksonville right now. I'm a little concerned about Christian Kirk as well, but I think he could bounce back and have a good week too. So maybe it just ends up being like last year.
Yeah.
So I'm not panicked on Christian Kirk, but little concerned.
Yeah. Go buy Brian Thomas, by the way.
Yeah. Well, if you can. Yeah. I mean, are you buying on the way up with him?
Yeah, I go by the way up. Because there were real red flags in his profile as much as there was green. Again, just like the lads and stuff. Just buy these guys on the way up after they pass the eye test.
Yeah. By the way, we got to be feeling good about Ladd. Nice week one, scores a touchdown. He should be the number one receiver for Herbert. So, I mean, like pretty much like right on schedule, on script for Ladd right now. So, I mean, I think you're feeling good if you own him in any format right now.
Yeah, buy him on the way up.
Yeah, I would buy him on the way up. Real quick, how about JSN? How you feel about him? Dud week one. I mean, we were kind of excited about this offense, kind of bringing like the University of Washington offense with the 3 wide receiver sets and passing the ball. And like, do you think we're eventually going to see that? And I mean, if we do, I would think JSN would probably be the biggest beneficiary.
Did you watch that game?
I did not.
Oh my goodness. It started. So actually, that game helped my buddy hit a huge 4-leg part. We guessed all the proper, we won a few $100 guessing all the winners of the 3 p.m. window.
Okay.
But part of the reason it was such a good like bet was because the Seahawks were down at the time. They almost had 3 safeties. It was so ugly. I was so bullish on the Seahawks offense, and I'm gonna stick with that. Like it was their first game, and they were playing against a Denver defense, which I mean generally like Peyton's defense is good, although like they haven't been the last 2 years. So we'll see. Again, just a 1 week sample.
Mm-hmm.
They started out so slow, unfortunate, and clumsy. It was gross. A holding in the end zone. So I don't know. I'm very torn. This is one where I really just don't have an answer for you. If you believe in them, buy them. If you don't believe in them, don't touch them. You don't need to worry about missing out.
Yeah. I wouldn't go out of my way necessarily, but like if you get an opportunity to buy them at a discount, I certainly don't mind that. I think there could be better days.
So here's the one thing to point out before leaving JSN behind is Lockett was the one coming off in the 3 wide receiver sets, and JSN was staying out. So that is good, and he did draw a PI on a big play. It wasn't the end zone or anything, but something the box score won't show you with JSN.
If I'm a rebuilder, I'm willing to buy Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze at a discount right now. Do you disagree?
I don't disagree. The only thing is if Keenan Allen and DJ Moore start lighting it up, then it still plays in that tank thing for me. But I think it's the most realistic for Odunze. I mean, he didn't even get his only catch wasn't even a target to him. It was this wonky circus play that bounced off a guy's helmet and he caught it and fumbled it. Like it was this insane play. So I think there's like a window for like Odunze to JSN, and like they have the same offensive coordinator. Like hilariously enough, I think there's enough things that could like keep snowballing down with Odunze's price in mid-season. And at that point, if you were already interested right now in buying him or pre-draft, stick to that and then try to get him as he's hurt. And
you always want to get that like rock bottom lowest price.
I do, because there's so many good receivers. Why would I pay the best receiver? The thing is, like, I want to get these guys for cheap because everyone's talented, right?
I mean, it's a good thought because just because their price is low now, it doesn't mean that it isn't still going lower. You get them for even less later. So I think it's always good to think like that. It's a good reminder.
Yeah.
Real quick, are you still buying Drake London after the bad week? I mean, obviously the bad week isn't a really concern, but like now that you mentioned the concern about Cousins, does that make you? I mean, I guess like Penix could come in and save the day, right? So you still
Dynasty, don't worry.
Yeah.
Redraft, probably worry for the short term.
Yeah.
Hope for Penix.
Yeah. I think I completely agree with that. That's totally fair. I think Chris Olave is probably an easy buy. Just about any format. Like, I mean, you see that the Saints offense looked great, so maybe they're not as terrible as we thought.
Yeah, they were up the entire game. Just write that game off.
Yeah, exactly. So buy Chris Olave everywhere if there's any kind of discount or whatever. Yeah, I think that pretty much covers the most of it. I didn't see any questions in the league chat or whatever. If you have any last questions, like now would be the time to ask. But I don't know. Anything else you want to cover or say before we get out of here pretty soon?
No, that's all. I need like some kind of tag though for me, like to be buying the rock bottom receivers. Like don't buy them on the way down. Buy them like when they're down and like beaten to the ground. I guess that's my like.
Yeah, we gotta come up with some
motto.
kind of like term
know.
for that. So if you guys have any suggestions, leave a comment. Definitely let us know about that. I'll check the live chat one last time before we sign out, but I'll just say definitely like the live stream. Definitely helps us out a lot. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. That's probably like the best thing you can do. Feel free to share this video if you feel like it, although you probably don't want to help your league mates, but, definitely helps the channel. Follow us on X at Dynasty Savvy. And, let us know if there are any kind of, like, episodes you want to see us record or anything you want us to specifically talk about in a live stream. Like, we're definitely open to your suggestions. Leave a comment. Definitely let us know what you want to see during the season. We're certainly hoping to grow the channel, and we want to give you guys what you want. So let us know what you want to hear us talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's all.
Yeah, cool. Well, I'll take one last look here. I don't see any questions, so we will sign out, and we will see you guys in the next one.
Awesome.